All right, let's try this again. I am Brother Max. We got Wolfie here,
Technical
and
difficulties.
yeah, today we are like I think it's because I'm filming in a different room today. That's probably why. um, um, we are watching the Jess Franco film. I watched this for the very first time
Yep.
on Sunday. I can't say that last word, but I'm gonna. You're gonna hear me butcher that last word. I don't know why. I just can't phonetically say it. She killed in Ecstasy. Yeah, I said it right.
Killed an accident.
Yeah. Um, what was it? We talked about it at the end. We were kind of talking about it during the Game of Thrones um our podcast for that, and we were like, okay, so I bought this and I held on to it for a good while. I didn't even open it for like almost a week or so, week or two, and then I finally sat down and watched it this past Sunday. I actually had I kind of set the mood a little bit. I got me some good food, I got me some good drinks, and I'm just like, you know what, I'm gonna finally watch this movie, and I did, and I was just like, I ended up kind of forgetting about my food because I was like I got really into this movie just because I liked the premise of it all. I thought it was actually really cool. Like, it's a revenge movie, but like you can like when I always after I watch a movie, I always kind of look at the trivia and stuff. Like, do you consider this a horror movie? Um, I think we might have a delay again.
Yeah.
But oh, you do?
No, I was.
Um,
I
no, you're good. But yeah, I when it was listed as horror, I was like, oh, but there is some like really cool moments of horror in this movie that like we'll probably eventually get to. Which I think my favorite kill in the movie is probably one of the more subdued ones of the movie. Um, but you want to kind of run down the plot of the movie for us real quick?
Killed an accident was made, like you said, made by Jess Franco, 1970. This is like one of the. I wouldn't say it's the first revenge film, but it's one of the with a female protagonist.
Right.
And the reasoning behind her revenge is there. There's a medical. Her husband went for a medical procedure, and the doctors did not do as much as she thought that they should have to save her husband. Responsible for the death of her husband, and she finds a well, eliminate the problem doctors from the world.
Right. Yeah. It's like,
I really like. I fell in love with Soul Dad, um, and she had a short career.
yeah. I didn't realize that
She
she.
joined the 27 Club, uh, with people that died at the age of 7.
Yeah, I didn't realize that she died so young. Like when I was looking up things, like trivia, and it was just like, oh wow. It was just like she, like I'm not quite sure how she.
It was on about her.
Um. So yeah, it's like
She was a pop star in the 60s.
Oh, was she really? That's cool. I didn't know she was that. Like I know very like this
Yeah,
is like kind of a
in
dark.
Spain.
Yeah, like this is kind of like my dark area of movies because I'm not quite familiar with all these Italian movies
Yeah,
and stuff, and because when you would do your Italian Sundays, I've always got intrigued and I'm like, oh, that just sounds so good and everything, and just like, oh, you just like I have a to be watch list a mile long just from your
yeah. This
Sundays alone.
Spanish film.
Oh, it is okay. Oh, okay, okay. Um, regardless, your list of movies that you would do
Agent
highlight. It was
31
just like,
horror. And like this really, this really isn't horror. It's got
yeah,
horror elements.
right. Uh, like that. The death of the woman doctor, or I thought that was a really good one. I thought that was a pretty good horror aspect of it all because it was done like there was like no music in the background. I think, or was there music? Um, I don't. I don't think there was music, and it was just her. Like she was being suffocated by like a plastic pillow, and you could see her face through the clear of the pillow, and it was just like it was. I thought that was just so good. I thought that was a pretty good kill in the movie. And then you got the guys in the movie, the doctor, the the male doctors of the movie. They got it pretty bad. Oh, hey, Professor. Thank you for coming by. We're having a little bit of difficulties today, but we're trying to power through it. So just kind of give us a chance. Yeah, it was just like I think this is my first Jess Franco movie that I've watched.
So, Professor talking about She Killed an Ecstasy, the Jess Franco.
Um,
You never know if you Jess Franco film. He has made some stuff without putting his name on it,
oh,
so you
okay,
might have seen something by him. But he loves the sleaze side of Euro sleaze.
okay. See, like I don't even really when I was
Yeah,
like um is this considered Euro trash? Because to me, it didn't seem like that. Like the some people have kind of put that. Like I was reading some articles and stuff, and they kind of mentioned that, and I'm like, like it to me, it didn't
it's
seem
more Euro sleaze than Euro trash.
okay. Oh, um, oh, cool,
Yeah,
Professor. Um,
yeah.
I can definitely see the sleaziness of it all, just because there is a lot of
Um,
nudity in
I
it.
like. I mean, for what some isn't. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I really just like this movie.
He made this. So Jess Franco made She Killed an Ecstasy and that
Uh,
are Lesbos, and he made them
yeah.
both with the same crew basically, and a lot of
Oh,
the same
okay.
actors,
Okay. So they would like if I were to watch that one next, it would kind of have like almost a kind of a same
including
feel to it.
Soledad.
Okay, that's cool. I didn't. That's pretty. I like when they reuse the crew and actors. Just I think that just makes the movie seem like you could do a double feature of movies pretty well, and it's like, oh, that's cool because it has kind of a cool feel to it to both watching
He
or having.
made this movie. Yeah, he made this movie 3 weeks making Vampire Lesbos.
Oh, like 3 weeks after it, or 3 days?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what a short, a short turnaround between filming one movie and going into another. That's crazy. I and I was like I just liked this movie. I liked how like the husband was a doctor and he was he basically got blackballed because of his research, and he couldn't. And then they just kept branding him an animal, and he just killed himself. And then, like rightfully so, his wife is like, you know what? I'm going to take revenge and go after the people who made him do what he did, commit suicide. And what I really liked about it is that she left him at home at this like throughout the whole movie. She just kind of like she went and did her business and just like she didn't call the cops or anything. She just kind of like, you know what, I'm gonna go take my revenge and go do what she did. I don't know how like the time frame, but I think it was only like a handful of days, like maybe less than a week of her getting everything done. Of her taking revenge on the doctors who kind of like ruined his professional career and kind of taking his license away and
This
everything.
movie really does have it has a really cool story to it. It's hard. That's part of the reason I recommended this movie is because I kind of figured that once you saw it, you would be like, oh, okay, yeah, this really works. I mean, it's watch this movie to watch this movie. Watch this movie to have a good time, you know.
Mm-hmm. And I did. I had a blast watching this movie. It was I liked I love the music. Like I really liked like the music for this movie. It just it oddly works.
Yeah,
It just like, oh, like that's just like it's
bizarre.
very upbeat. There's yeah, exactly. It doesn't have like a it didn't have like I know like we talked like we were mentioning like it's listed as horror, but it ain't horror. But it has horror elements. But the if if you were to ask someone like, give me the genre of movie you think this is in, just based on the music alone, and it's just like they I don't think they would have picked horror first.
Revenge film. That's pretty much.
Right.
Oh yeah,
I know, which is pretty cool.
a
I'm actually
thriller. It would be thriller.
yeah. I know we both have the exact same copy of the movie, so it comes with the soundtrack for the movies. I'm actually really curious to listen to the CD portion of the movies to see what kind of like because I really dug the music in this movie. I just really liked it all. It was actually really interesting. And then I'm trying to think. I think the locations of this movie was done really good too. It's like I love their house that they like. You know what? We need to like kind of
Yeah,
go off and do.
I love the building. Yes, thank you. I was just gonna say that house is awesome.
It's like I like when they so in the movie they kind of take themselves um out to this out to the island and they kind of seclude themselves a little bit and the house that they kind of just kind of try to unwind and get back to normal is just so beautiful and it's just you I think it's so unique looking it's just like it had it how it, like there's a small photo on the back of it but I don't think I can show it it's just it looks like it's stacked on it's like it's just like blocks stacked up on blocks and but it's like it's angled in some areas it's square it's a square in the front, but has some angles on
Yeah.
the front. It's just such a cool looking house, and I'm like, that is. I wish they would have done more with the exterior of it, just because like I really liked the look of that house.
Yeah, it's one of those the 60s experiment art house styles, because that was kind of
Yeah,
like a thing. It's like, hey, let's make a building, but we're gonna make the building not look like a building. Let's make a
yeah,
house not really kind of look
and
like it's gonna look like angles and yeah.
and it's like built onto like rock too. It's not like it's built up onto like this a bunch of rocks
Yeah.
and because they're and I'm like that is just like that's what really like got me into this movie. Besides the plot of the movie, it's just the look of things, like her outfits throughout the movie, like the use of that purple cape, and just even like in the beginning, his little science lab and everything. Even though if you compare it to like other
Yeah.
movies, it's pretty generic, but it has some like cool things in there. It just like has some like vials of like some
It's kind of funny because this movie, I mean, when you watch it, the stars late 60s, early 70s.
oh I think we you paused. You have to say that again. Because I think you froze
Oh,
there
I
for a
said
second.
the architecture and oh, the architecture and the clothes that she wore, and it screams late 60s, early 70s. There's you can't mistake us for any other period of time.
Right. And it's like just and I really like the, I know he had like my only real complaint of the movie is it's not the acting, it's not the music or anything like that. I think it's how kind of like um jerky the zooms are in this movie. Because they and it just feels oh, I even though I like that, it kind of makes it feel a little bit more of a raw look feel to it because it's like it's not a clean zoom and everything. But I'm like, there's a couple times where the zoom should have been a little bit cleaner or a little smoother. But it was just that was my only, and that's a minor complaint. It's just like, oh, the zooms are a little rough. That's I'm trying to think what else in this movie. It's like,
Yeah.
um,
No,
I
I
think that,
agree with that.
so like, what was your favorite part in the movie?
Oh, man. Um, this is gonna sound stupid because I mean, yeah, there's a lot of kills in it, but I love the way the movie ends. You know,
Oh,
it
yeah.
actually had an ending that I liked as compared to just some kind of like hokey throwaway ending, and I really loved. I love the way this movie ends.
Oh no, I no, I don't think it's stupid at all because so like at some point in the movie, the cops kind of catch wind of what's going on, and they don't know who's doing it
Right.
quite yet. And the thing is, like when the cops finally do catch up with her, it's already too late. It's like the damage has already been. She's already got what she wanted out of what she set out to do, and I like her last words, and I think that's also what makes that ending really good. Is like we're going to be reunited once again, like and then she kind of like rolls off the cliff. I think that's how, and they're back, they're reunited in death, so it's just like I think that was the only way this movie could have ended that way. It wasn't she was never going to go in alive. She wasn't going to just disappear off into the sunset or anything like that. Like she knew what was like that was her end game. Like she was going to complete her task, and then that was it. And it was just like it was good. And I thought it was just like you said. I don't think it was stupid at all. I thought it was a very good ending. It was very fitting for this movie, just because the cops couldn't catch her, and she got what she wanted to accomplish, and I just it was just so good. So that's really I liked it. It was good. That's a good one. I think I kind of alluded to my favorite part was so I think it was leading up to the female doctor. I think what I liked because it was my favorite part because I'm surprised none of these people recognized her. Because if she but I can understand they may be kind of on the board or something, so they may not know who she was. But it's this seems like a very kind of close knit group a little bit, and just it just seemed just seems like they should I've been pretty cool if they almost you just look so familiar, and then it just kind of goes away or something like that. But it's but I just like the leading up to the death of the female doctor. It was just she's kind of just hitting on her, and she's just come back to my place, and then they kind of she just I think that's what this movie does really good is that she lures them into a state of comfortability. It's they're about to have sex, and all of a sudden she just goes 180 and kills them. It's she gets them all comfortable and relaxed. Even that one guy who's I can't do this. I'm quit following me. But she still, and she still manages to get him where she wants him to go because she's that good. And she kills him, and it's with a pair of scissors to the back of the neck, and it was just she was determined, and she got it, and that's what I liked about that. That I think that's what adds to these kills is that she just gets them in that nice, like I said, comfortable state, and then she gets them, or her.
Yeah, it's weird how. Yeah, it's really weird how everyone just kind of they're oh, it's a pretty girl. Let's drop our defenses. You know, it's you're just kind of going, yeah, okay, but she does. She really puts them into it's really kind of weird too how even though her husband's a doctor, that with the exception of one other person, no one else really knows who she is.
Right.
No.
And that uses her. She kind of uses that to her advantage, big time.
Yeah. Everything about this movie is just perfect. I can't get around to how good this movie really is. It's just like you were saying, the music and the look, and with the exception of the zooms. But I mean, once you discover this movie, you want to just dive in and find out more.
And
And there's not a lot more to find.
It's only 80 minutes, and it's a fast watch.
Yeah,
it really
it
like
is a fast watch.
Like, oh, I think with the exception of, I know I keep talking about the female doctor part, but that scene kind of allows the movie to kind of breathe for a moment. Like it kind of like it
takes a break. It slows down a minute.
Yeah, and it just like lets her kind of like because you can she's kind of like manipulating this female doctor into dropping her defenses and everything, and she's learned into a state of like they're about to have sex and everything, but it was just like, and it was just the lead up, like the female doctor. I know she has a name in the movie. I can't remember it. I should have wrote it down.
She does, but whatever.
Yeah, she just like comes into her apartment.
Doctor works.
Yeah, immediately kind of starts kind of like making herself at home, like hopping on the couch. And there's one particular shot in this sequence I really truly love. I'm like, I wish they, like, that is so unique and different. Is when she has the champagne glass and she sets it right in front of the camera, and I'm like, that's a great shot. And I'm like, that's why I'm like, that's why when I'm like, when the zooms are a little wonky, I'm like, but the camera work for other things, or it makes up for it. Like the champagne glass, the being suffocated, the seeing her face in horror and trying to breathe through the cellophane blow up pillow, and
the whole blow up, that was a style back then, man. There was a lot of, you could buy furniture that you could take home and blow. It's like, dude, who wants a blow up couch? I mean, honestly.
Yeah, it was just like, and then you can hear it when she throws it off into the side, off camera. You can hear it kind of bounce, and I'm just like you probably wouldn't, like, nowadays they would just kind of like not like pick up that sound. They would just probably, we don't need to hear it bounce or whatever. And it's just like hearing it just kind of, it gives the room it gives that moment a little bit more sense of realism. And like, so I think we've been kind of, I've been trying to work my way around this to make it try to find my words, because the female doctor gets off pretty light. She does.
She does. No, that's very true. That the male doctors, she gets suffocated, but the male doctors are all like, it's brutal, man. I mean, it's kind of like she has a sympathy for the female doctor just because she's a female,
right?
Almost. It's like, well, I'm not gonna gut you from pelvis to sternum, or nothing like that. We're just
right. And it's like because I was shocked. Like I mentioned at the top of the thing, is like this. I think I mentioned it. Like, this is my first time watching it. Like, I went into this blind. Right. It was a pure recommendation from you, and I trust your recommendations like pretty solid. So it's like so I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I'm watching this, and then I'm just into it. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I know she's going to kill that first doctor. I know, but like in the manner that she does it, she just like, she basically like slits his throat, and not even giving him a chance to die. She kind of like pulls the cover back and starts to kind of basically castrate him the hard way, And then she does it to another doctor as well, and the one we were talking about, how she was like, the one who basically, I think the one who gave up the biggest fight of them all, in terms of like,
the one that's like, I quit following you, so
But I did like how like it's always this. I think like when we talk about it, it's the setup before the kill that always is really good too. It's like we learn that first Doctor, he's kind of scummy. You know, he's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah. There's no kind of about it, but yeah, he's
yeah.
scummy.
and then and then the female doctor, you know, she kind of sees her. They kind of like I think I forgot. It's either the doctor who's reading the book and she approaches her, or the doctor approaches our main character. It's either way around. Like they kind of like bond over a book, and
Right.
and then it's like come back to my place and you can pick out a book, and then they just kind of start going off from there. And then the third guy, the third doctor, what I really liked about it is like that chase up the steps. That was another great shot of just like
Yeah, those long ass steps.
yeah, just like it's just this just floor after floor. I'm like, I would have been okay with it if they went just a little bit longer and maybe went up another floor to kind of really solidify that she's not going to give up, you know.
Right.
And then and there's one more kill, which is I think that one's probably the weakest of the bunch. I think even though it's kind of brutal, but it's not as
I think at
memorable.
the time that they were probably running out of, weren't you know? At the
Yeah.
time they're like, okay, it's run it. It's kind of like a run and gun type of movie making, and so like, okay, what? How are we gonna do this? Well, let's see. We did the castration. We did it. You know, it's like at the time they're just kind of like,
hmm
what are we gonna do? You know, and so
And
I think,
he
yeah,
was the main doctor, wasn't he? Or was it
yeah,
the first one?
it was yeah. She saved the main one for last.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And so I mean, like it was still pretty brutal. She kind of tortured this one a little bit more.
She played cat and mouse with this guy.
Yeah. Who she kill? That's who I wouldn't quite at his house. I didn't pick up on that one. Like he comes home and sees someone dead in his home.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't. For some, I meant to go back and try to figure out who that was, but I was like, I just like I said, I've only watched this once, and I just watched it this past
Yeah.
Sunday. So like everything is still relatively like fresh, but still like I haven't had a chance to kind of like dive deep into everything. But like he comes home, finds this woman dead in his house. I'm assuming it's his wife or a girlfriend or something, and then she proceeds to like torture this guy for branding him an animal and everything, and really like, and then her husband taking his own life, and which is rightfully so, that she kind of saved the one who really like made it worse, you know, like like he like when you watch up to the point where he like the husband kills himself, he's just running through the words. It's through his head, like if like what they called him and everything, and like how his it's you can what's it called? It's unnatural, and like they use religion as kind of their excuse as well to and to like justify this not being, even though it could be, he could have saved thousands of lives with his. I think that's what it was, right? Like he was trying to like cure diseases and stuff, and
Yeah. Right.
and like his method was very experimental,
It's a
and
little out there, but
yeah,
it could have saved a lot of lives.
right. And they chose not to due to like religious reasons, basically. And like this movie actually has some good, like it's timely. This actually still pretty relevant today. You know, like there's
Exactly. And Jess Franco shows up in this movie.
oh, does he really? I
Yeah.
must have missed that.
He's one of the doctors on the council.
Oh, that's cool. So
So
that
go back and watch it. He plays Dr. Wolken, I think is what his name was.
okay, maybe okay,
And he's kind of like a heavy set guy with a big full beard. And
okay.
Yeah, that's Jess Franco, and he's not an actor. He doesn't claim to be an actor, but if he needs to have a person in the shot, why not? Why not him?
Right. That's very cool.
Um, there there was a website. I don't know if they're still around. At one point in time, there's a website called allmovie.com.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie was given the lowest rating ever as 1 star.
Oh, I don't. I don't agree with that.
Exactly.
No, like
After you watch it, you go, "What?"
so.
just for cinematography alone, it gets a star. I mean,
right, right. Like I understand. Like I know me and you are a little bit on. We definitely have a love for film, and so like we
yeah,
know this movie isn't going to be for everybody, but we can at
right.
least acknowledge that the fact that it's has it, we can at least both acknowledge that it deserves recognition. It doesn't
It
need to
has its
be
place in the in
right.
the in the cinema. It
Yeah,
like you said, it's not for everyone, but it definitely has a place in cinematic history, and it needs to
right.
be there.
So it's like when you think of movies like oh I could see myself kind of talk like if for another film fan like hey like I know this movie ain't gonna be for you but you do like older movies um and
You
like
might
give it a
like
shot
this.
you, like you may like there's worser recommendations out there like in terms of like
Well, that's how I approached that. That's how I approached it with you. I mean, I know that Euro movies aren't your thing. You're learning. You're getting better at it. You're watching
right
some, and no. I mean, I appreciate that, man. I think that's really cool that you're expanding expanding that. And so when you said, "Hey, you picked the next film," I'm like, okay, well, why not? I won't. I don't want to. I don't want to just throw something at you that's completely out there. It's like, okay, why not She Killed in Ecstasy? I mean, it's not a. I mean, between the two, between Vampire Lesbos and She Killed in Ecstasy, She Killed in Ecstasy is the better made film.
okay
You know,
like after you told me that they went from what was the turnaround between the two movies?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. Okay, so that kind of makes me want to kind of go get Vampiros Lesbos just because I kind of want to see if it
The
has
difference.
the difference of and like if there is any like similar feel to it since they're like we're just going from 1 week like 3 weeks between the two movies and it's like and you
Does have
said
the same feel to them, but yeah. Go ahead and get it. I mean, dude, you can get it from Severn again.
all right
I mean,
like I had when I told you how much I paid for this just like I'm like now I kind of wish I would have bought Vampiros Lesbos along with it because I was prepared to spend the money to buy this movie, and then I had some money through my PayPal account, and I'm like, oh, I just bought it for 82 cents. Now I should have bought. I should have what I should have went and bought the other one so we could have
yeah,
talked about that as well. I'm like
that's fine. That can be the next one down the road or something. I mean, it's whatever you want to do. But and dude, bring that up again
yeah,
because I don't have my copy with me.
you're good.
Okay, so this is like one of the coolest, uh, covers.
hmm
It's got this slipcase, and I'm not. You know me, I'm not a slipcase fan. Sometimes I can care less, and but and then when you remove the slipcase, you get to see the full picture, which you can't do. I don't think you.
Actually, this one you can.
Okay, okay,
This one is actually pretty. This one you can show. This one's
okay, yeah. And so there you go. That's but that is a cool slipcase.
yeah. It's like there's without the movie in it, and then like
The window box.
yeah, like I love like when you showed it off, I'm like, oh, I mean that's a cool box. I like it, I'm all about the slip sleeves. So I'm like, that just like tickled
Yeah.
my fancy 100%. And I was just like, that's cool. I love that.
And
Uh,
Vampiros Lesbos is the same thing.
right. And that's why I almost went back and bought it. And I'm like depending on how Friday goes, I'm supposed to go out shopping and everything. Depends on how that goes. I may just pick that. Like, if I don't find anything, I'll probably be like, you know what, I'll just buy it. Like, here's my purchase for the week.
Yes,
Um,
Professor. This is a cool. It really is.
it comes with a CD
Again,
too.
can't say, huh? Oh yeah,
It
it
comes
does. It
with
comes with the CD of the music, and
yeah.
I think whenever I get like a movie that has a soundtrack with it, I will usually just take that CD and throw it on the computer. On my computer, and then I can put it on an MP3 player or something like that. So if I want to listen to it, I can. I don't have to dig out the movie. You
Yeah,
know.
because something, yeah, like something like I don't think you'll be able to find the soundtrack anywhere on like iTunes or Spotify or anything.
Right.
Like, you have to like you're going to have to like go old school with it, and just to kind of put it in that kind of terms. It's just like okay, so
It's it's an awesome film. It's a sad shame that Soledad Miranda, dude, you got to watch. Honestly, you really have to watch that thing on her on that.
okay,
I think it's also on the Vampiros Lesbos. I mean, because they're both put out by the same company, and so. But it really talks about how in the '60s she was a pop star in Spain, and she did a lot of movies in the '60s, but they would only put her in like it's like, oh, well, we need someone to sing a song or we need someone to do a dance. We'll
okay,
put and so she was just kind of like uh fodder, just background fodder for a lot of these movies. And then like the late '60s hit, and she did a hundred rifles with Burt Reynolds and Jim Brown.
oh,
Yeah, she shows up. This was the weirdest thing. Now I watched that movie, and I'm like man, she's at the very beginning. Burt Reynolds is in a hotel. It's a western, you know,
okay,
and
yeah,
and they're in Mexico, and so Burt Reynolds is in a hotel room, and he's got this hooker girlfriend, whatever you want to call her, and she gets out of the bed, and she's butt ass naked, and she walks over to the window to see what's going on outside, and I'm like, why do I know her? Why? I know that body. I know that face. And then
well,
when the credits read by, it said Soledad Miranda. I go, oh my god, Soledad Miranda! Of course, I know that body. I know that face. You
so
know?
like uh, so like I'm not 100. I'm not like I'm only like a percent like able to. I could probably maybe pick her out if I just know that if all the other actresses around her I knew them. Like, oh, that's okay by process of elimination. But when she put on the disguise for the female doctor, I didn't
Right.
recognize her at all. And I'm like, and to me, I'm just like, that to me that is
That's a costume.
yeah,
That's a costume.
yeah. I'm like, that is cool. I'm like because I'm like, who is that? I'm like, is that her? I'm like, no, it can't be. And I just kept I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, it has to be her she's she's luring the female doctor back, and I'm just like, is that? And it's just like, or she's doing not the female doctor. The was it the guy she was following in her.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, just that disguise. I'm just like, oh, I'm like, that has to be her. And but just a simple hair change just changes her whole look and it just so
Oh look,
quickly.
yeah.
And I'm like, that's pretty cool. Um, what was was about to say? I can't remember what it was. I'm trying to, but um, I can't remember what I was going to say. I was just like, I got hung up on, like, you said something, and I'm like, okay. But
Sorry.
yeah, this movie is just really good. Like, it's, I liked, and it looked really good. Like, it being transferred over onto Blu-ray.
Oh yeah,
It
yeah.
looked, it
Not
looked like, I'm like, I was waiting, like, sometimes, like, I kind of get kind of lost in my own head big time about, like, oh, it's an older movie, so it's going to look kind of rough and everything. But I'm like, no, this movie looks clean, and like
yeah. This movie.
Severin did a
There's no
very
video.
good.
There's no video articles or video noise on the screen. There might be in a few places, like when it gets really super dark, you
Mhm.
can always see that. But like yeah, no video noise, no video articles, and the sound quality is just spot on. You
Right.
know,
Like, the only imperfections were the movie itself. It's not like, like in terms of
right.
like some, like, maybe some wonky editing. We talked about the zooms, but like in terms of like the picture quality, it was so good. I'm like, I think that's also what got me into it, because the transfer or whatever they did for this movie was just like, the people at Severin. It was just like it didn't like take me out, because sometimes watching movies that look rough can deter people from, and that's
Yeah. No,
and we were
yeah.
and like we were talking about, like, how, like, I could recommend this to a few people, just because like it does have a kind of like a cleaner look to it, not a rough
eh,
look.
Right.
And
And it's got an overall. It's quality, man. It's a quality movie. I mean, it's
mm,
the story's there. A lot of these revenge movies, I mean, as much as I love I Spit on Your Grave, the story's kind of, I mean, it's there, but it's kind of lackluster. I
right,
mean, there are four guys just choose to repeatedly rape Camille Keaton over and over, and it's like, nah, okay, whatever, I mean, and she gets revenge on him. I mean, I get that, but this is like they plotted it out. They
mm,
they went step by step, and it doesn't seem as far fetched
right.
as
Like, I'm not saying, yeah, we're not saying that it didn't, like, that whole what could happen in Spill on Your Grave couldn't happen, but this one just seems a little bit more like a little bit, it seems a little bit more grounded, I think.
exactly
It-
a little more
yeah,
subtle.
yeah, exactly. It's like you don't need that, like, really harsh scene in Spit on Your Grave. It's like, you just, like, all you have to do is understand the fact that he, her husband took his own life because they basically destroyed his professional career, and he didn't know what
Right.
to do, and that was the only way he could see himself going out, like that was his only logical step after that. And she's just
and it
like,
ignites and it ignites the fire in her for revenge.
mm-hmm. and
Yeah,
like, I understand the historicalness of I Spit on Your Grave, but I think this one is a much better film. It's better
I
edited.
agree.
It's better looking. It's better acted. It's like, if you want to watch a revenge movie that, like, even, oh, I know where I was going with this. Um, where I was going, like there's nudity in this movie, but it doesn't seem out
It's
of
not
place.
forced.
Right. And it doesn't seem like, because she's using what she has to get what she needs to do. Like, she obviously has
Right.
very stunning looks, um, and then she uses that to get where she's wanting to go. Um,
Yeah.
like, that's like we keep mentioning about that one doctor who, like, just like, quit following me, like, and then, but ultimately he gives in because she's very striking and very, like, and she's just like, and he's just like, this opportunity may never present itself again, and like, I gotta go for it, and just because, like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
a beautiful
It's 100% all that, man. It's like, hey, and she is striking. She is. That's the thing that gets me. It's like it's like you hear. I mean, Marilyn Monroe, Jane Mansfield, Natalie Wood. I mean, there's all these women that have made like
Mm-hmm.
a ton of films. But in those tons of films, they're like, okay, this is a beautiful woman. Here's a woman that made. I mean, she made a ton of movies in the '60s. I mean, the most recognizable ones with her in her name. I think she's got like 4 movies, and she's a beautiful, beautiful creature. And I don't say creature as in,
Yeah.
nasty. I'm just saying, I mean, if they say God made everything, then he threw a little dash of extra into her.
So yeah, it's just like from like scene one where she's just wearing that metal bra or whatever that thing is. It's
that,
just
that,
like
that was like one of the, yeah.
it's just like it's and like long brown straight hair. And it's like that's just a simple look, and where a lot of other ones like the people you mentioned, like they have to have they have unique assets,
Right.
and 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 they flaunt them very well. Where this is just like she definitely stands out in terms of how like in this world where like everything is very grounded, and it's like you couldn't have that. It would I mean, like if they were going for more, if they were amping up the sleaze factor of it all, they might need a more
Yeah.
bustier woman. But it's just like you don't need with this movie. It's like all you need to know is that
It's
she's
got to be,
these two are
it's got to be subtle. It can't
yeah.
be in your face. It's got to be subtle. I mean, she's a beautiful woman. She's not, it's not, boobs out to here and, whatever. It's like, okay, she's a small figure, nice waist, whatever. I mean, but it's got to be subtle because if you go any other way, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, here's that woman with the, 24 M's or whatever, and it's like, okay, sure, Can
And
you
that's
imagine them trying to remake this movie?
see that actually popped into my head a few times because I'm like how will they do this today, like because the thing is this would have to be rated R no matter, like if they would do a PG-13 way it wouldn't have the same
Doesn't
effect.
work.
And
It doesn't
like
work.
people could probably, yeah, they could, but I'm like no, like you need a little bit, you need what R does that PG-13 that can't do is a little bit of
You
freedom,
you need a little bit of the sleaze factor.
hmm exactly.
You
and
know,
and then like and I think I like I know some people can argue like we don't need nudity in movies, but like for this one, if they had to remake it, I think there
you do.
had to be like just because like she's like we talked about, like she uses her God given talents, or
Feminine
to
wiles.
be feminine wiles. There we go. That's yeah, to kind of lure these men and women to um their
See,
into
the
her.
sad thing is that if they tried to yeah, if they tried to remake this today, right? And then and I'm agreeing with you 100%. It's like you need to have the sleaze factor. You got to have the feminine wiles. You got to have the nudity. So there's a lot of actresses nowadays that are like, okay, I won't do nudity. I won't do nudity. I won't do nudity. What we would wind up with Paris Hilton, Hollywood's favorite hooker, um, it in a role that she can't act. But they'd be like, oh, but you're willing to show us your who cares? I want someone that's actually willing to act.
So thank you, Professor. I had that written down. Okay. Have you seen the movie Promising Young Woman?
That's the one where she fakes getting drunk all the time, right?
Yes. So I was
Yes.
thinking like,
Yes.
that's probably the most equivalent movie to today. I'm like because I was watching this and I was like, this feels like that movie with Carey Mulligan in it,
I
and
always
because
forget it's Carey Mulligan.
and she's like just like she's taking revenge for her friend's death, and
Yeah.
she's and I'm like, oh man, but the trailers make it as the trailers are very very misleading, but
Yeah, they are.
it, because she doesn't actually kill anybody, she just kind of like she's like I think she gather does she get evidence on these guys so if they do it again,
Yeah.
okay, so she just basically like don't ever do it again or these are going to come these stuff is going to come out, and so yes, Professor, it's like it's kind of like that, but in terms of
There was
I
another
think
movie that maybe
focuses
a lot of people didn't. There was
say that
another
again.
movie that I really liked. It came out. God, what year did I don't know what year it came out, but it came out a few years ago. It was called Revenge. It was a French film, and it was this. He was kind of like a sugar daddy to this girl, right?
Okay.
Says, "Hey, we're gonna go out to the desert. We're gonna go out to my house in the desert, and we're gonna have a good time. You know, wh- whatever happens, happens, kind of like type of thing." And some of his friends come out there, and basically they're all out there to gang rape her,
Okay.
and they try to kill her, and they try to kill her uh, because she survives, and she comes back getting even with. It's a really cool movie if you haven't. It's called Revenge, and I
It's
picked it up a few
familiar.
years ago on. I picked it up a few years ago on like Black Friday on a blind buy, and I'm like, I've heard of it. I wanted to see it, and I was surprised on how good it was. That's kind of like this movie. It just kind of like came out of nowhere, and I mean, it's really, it's kind of funny. It's like I love Eurofilm,
Mm-hmm.
and as you know, Mama Wolf, she loves horror, but she doesn't watch a lot of Euro movies. I've watched all this stuff like when I was a kid. When we had cable,
Mm-hmm.
Black Sunday would be on or Black Sabbath would be on, and it'd be on like a Friday night or Saturday
I
night,
wouldn't
and
have wa-
I
I wouldn't have watched those if it wasn't for you. Like talking about them and then I'm just like, oh, which one is like the more horror anthology one? So,
Black Sunday.
yeah, that's the one I've watched. Okay.
Well, look at Boris Karloff.
Um, is Black Sabbath? Is that the one with the Iron Maiden looking thing?
Yeah, the faces and nails all in her.
Yeah. Okay, so I've seen both. Oh,
Right.
good. Like, okay, so I'm like, I'm not, I'm so I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm getting these. I'm like that Chris Evans meme. It's like I get that reference.
Yeah.
So,
But I would
uh,
watch this stuff like cable, and so now I'm introducing my mom to like all this Euro stuff, and she goes, "When did you watch this?" And I'm like, "Well, when I was a teenager, and so that's where my love comes from, and you know, I love horror. Don't get me wrong. I love Euro horror, and I love like a lot of different Euro kind of movies. Um, I just watched Grave Robbers, which was a Mexican film,
you
and so Vin- Vinegar Syndrome put out two movies, both titled Grave Robbers.
okay?
One takes place in the U.S. and one takes place in Mexico, and this is the one that I've got both of them, and they're two different movies all completely. This This is the movie I was telling you about that I was watching that my mom goes, he's making me
Oh,
watch it.
that's funny.
but dude, that's not halfway to Black Friday sales coming up on Vinegar Syndrome, so maybe grab
Yeah.
that. I mean, honestly, that and
Oh,
Cemetery of Terror, dude. They're both by the same person and they're both awesome.
I'm looking to expand my these kind of movies in my collection because like nowadays I've sold a bunch of movies in my collection, but most of them have been like the more blockbuster movies. And now if you look at my
Yeah.
movies now, it has a little bit more of a a little bit more of a niche feel to it, because like I'm starting to
more of a seasoned.
it's starting to get some flavor in there. You know, like it's always had flavor, but but it's like compare, like, to kind of compare it, it's like the rest of the movies were just like, oh, salt and pepper, and it's like, yeah, it's seasoned, but now it's like, now I got like, now I got some like paprika
Now,
and so
paprika and oregano and
yeah, I'm getting
yeah.
Italian seasoning. I'm starting I'm starting to get some like just real flavor in there. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So uh, because like I know I got a lot of Arrow movies in there, but like, and those are some of the like bigger movies, but it's like um and some like, I only have like I only have like a couple Severin movies. I think this may be my only.
See, it's just the opposite for me. It's like I have a handful of Arrow films
uh
and I have a ton of Severin.
I think because I think Arrow is a little bit more widely distributed than Severin. I think that's the.
That could be it, but with me, it's like a lot of the times when it comes to Arrow, I already have I already a lot of the stuff that they put out there, like, oh, hey, we got the Hills Have Eyes. I'm like, dude, I already have the Hills Have Eyes.
All right.
You
Keep
know?
that going. I'm going to go check on my kid real quick.
And yeah, so I mean, the to just have another copy, it doesn't always work for me. What are you saying, Professor? My collection looks more like a landfill. Yeah, so many bad, according to some people, and trashy movies in it, but I love them. You know what? Whatever you want, man. There's probably a ton of movies in my collection that people would call. I mean, I know that a lot of people don't like True Blood, the TV series, you know. And when I first started doing the Wicked Horse Show with Kevin would give me grief about it, and it's like he's like, oh yeah, but he'd be like, yeah, but you like True Blood. I'm like, yeah, I like True Blood. Who doesn't, you know? I mean, but he like vampire stuff, so you know. So, but
Right.
he his one caveat to that is he does like he watched Salem's Lot on my recommendation, and he wound up really liking that. So
Yeah. No. Like we all have our like those. We both, like you said, you have yours with True Blood. I'm trying to think
well, that
like
was the
what would.
first one that came to mind. You
Yeah.
know, I mean,
I'm trying to think like what would
I mean, I
be.
don't like. I honestly, I can't stand the movie Blair Witch Project. I think it's one of the
So
biggest pieces of crap ever made.
so um, it was okay. Like I think there are better. You know, I like we were talking like how we were talking about like with I can't remember what movie. I see. I'm like I'm all over the place nowadays. How I can respect like, oh, it's helped with the found footage. It made found footage like extremely popular, but I'm just like, but
It
it's
made found footage extremely popular, but it wasn't the first found footage
right. That's
film.
I
That's the
like that's
thing
why
that's the thing that annoys me. Is
that's why I was
everyone's
getting,
like, oh,
like it wasn't the first one. It just helped usher in that to new levels. It's just
because Cannibal Holocaust was the first one.
right. I'm trying to think what kind of trashy movies are like, or people who would think would be like, oh, that's terrible. Like, why do you even have that in your collection? And like, oh,
Well,
like
there's
if
people that rip on Halloween 3 because it's Halloween 3 and it doesn't have Michael Myers in it.
right, or
You
like
know,
here's a big one. Like I'm a big supporter of trauma movies. Like people would like if you really sat down and watched those movies, they're fun. Like but people are only going to
yeah, they are.
see. They're just going to see what they are just like. Oh, they're just like poorly made special effects. They're just nudity galore, or the how crass it is, like unpolitically correct and everything. But like if you sat down and watched it, like, and actually kind of understand the history of Troma, it's like they are a very like they're like awesome. Like they give film students jobs to work on their first movies. They
Okay,
they're
so,
they're purely in.
I've interviewed Lloyd Kaufman 4 times.
Oh yeah,
He's been on the Wicked Horror Show twice. He's been on Sit Down twice. But here's a bit of trivia for anyone that wants to listen. Who was Lloyd Kaufman's roommate in college? Let's see do you know this, Professor? I'm kind of curious if you know
it's crap in college.
You went to Yale.
Okay, well that's not who I was. I was going to make the director of Rocky because I know has something to do with all that. But go ahead. As soon as you say the name, I'm like, yeah, that's it.
I'm going to give Professor 1 minute on this. So,
okay.
No, he says he can't. Says no, I can't say that I know. Oliver Stone.
That's if you look at his movies,
Oliver Stone. Now, Oliver Stone, if you ever listen to him in an interview or anything, comes off as the biggest freaking flake, right? Lloyd Kaufman is a flake too, but he's a fun flake. we had him on the Wicked Horror Show one time, and he was just he was in one of these real goofy moods, which when you take just take it when you can get it, right? And he's sitting there and he's talking, and he goes yeah, and he goes and all of a sudden he goes all of a sudden Taylor Swift showed up. What do you think, Taylor? How you doing? He just picked up this random doll and started.
And to some that would be totally off-putting, but like to me, I think, and you obviously you're laughing at it. It's just like that is funny, and like
I'm laughing at it because that explains so much about Lloyd Kaufman,
right?
About how much fun he has making his movies,
right? And like he has those rules. It's like make a good movie, be safe on set, and no harm to pets and animals. I think those are the three.
Yeah.
But so like he does take making movies seriously, because have you watched any of the documentaries on like the movies that get made of his?
I watched. I have not too long ago. I bought the Toxic Avenger 4-disc thing.
Oh, cool.
I watched them. I watched the making of on all of those, and that was real interesting.
Right? Like sometimes those are better than the movie itself, because of like how like the when they were filming outside, and a lady was just like a pedestrian who was not part of the crew, just kind of walked through their set, and they're like, and he went off on the whole crew and everybody, because he was just like, she could have gotten hurt, or she had a baby with her. And he takes filmmaking very serious, even though his movies may look like really rough.
This is what I always say when it comes to Uncle Lloyd.
We'll get to that question in a second, Professor.
Okay. So when it comes to him, I always look at it this way. There were at the same time when Troma was coming out, there was another independent producer, director, writer, and one was East Coast and one was West Coast. Troma was East Coast, Roger Corman was West Coast.
Right.
And it's pretty much you look at Troma and you go, wow, they did a really, really cool idea with Toxic Avenger and Surf Not, then you look over here and you go, wow, Roger Corman did a really cool job with Chopping Mall and
Mm-hmm.
Galaxy of Terror. They're not the same movie, but you could see that they're both working on that shoestring budget to make
Mm-hmm.
a decent film.
Right.
And so what's the question?
He's asking, does Trauma have a chance of continuing after Lloyd passes away?
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Definitely.
I think it's because
His daughter would probably take over. His wife is the film commissioner of a certain part of New York.
right.
You know,
And so I would be I think, and because the fans of
they're
Trauma,
not just going to fold up the tent and go away.
no, like a lot would happen. A lot, if it did after he passed away, it would probably be more out of respect. But I don't think it would go that way just to keep that legacy going. They want to be
Yeah.
they want to continue that independent legacy to no end.
Right.
And so I'm like,
I
yeah,
don't know if his daughter. I think his daughter. Yeah, she is a filmmaker. I was gonna say I don't know if I do, but yeah, she is. She made some documentaries.
mhm,
So he's got his daughter to carry on his legacy. And if she wanted to run Trauma, she could, but more than likely it'd be more like Roy Disney taking over after Walt Disney died. It's like, okay, I'm here. I'm gonna let you guys run it the way you want. You
right.
know?
I think it will definitely lose what makes Trauma, but I don't think Trauma will go away because because they still make movies and they just put it under the
Yeah, they
Trauma
do.
a Trauma Teen release or whatever it's called.
Right.
But it's like, but an actual get like the Lloyd Kaufman Trauma movies, like yeah, like I think they should, like, if he passes away, like should be no more Toxic Avengers or anything like that. It should. I know the remake. They're in the middle of making the remake, but with a big studio and everything. But it's just like I think that kind of stuff should just, unless they do like kind of a fan, like everyone who's ever worked on a Toxic Avenger movie comes together, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's like, where does this all come from? um, I
We were
think,
talking about movie collections and
oh, right,
stuff that
right.
you
And so
know.
yeah, it's like
So
everyone, like, yeah, because Professor was like, I had like a people consider my collection a landfill. Like, no, it's like we were talking about, like,
you like what you
uh,
like, man.
yeah, exactly. Like, there are movies in my collection where I'm like, I would be like, no, like, I will defend liking this movie till the day that I die, because I know a lot of people don't like Quentin Tarantino movies, but I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't care.
I don't see how that. I mean,
I think those people are
you're
lying.
hanging out with the wrong people.
I think those people are.
You're hanging out with the wrong people.
I think those people, like I said, I think those people are lying. I don't think
I've
they
only
just
got
go ahead.
one Tarantino film I don't like.
Which one?
Jackie Brown. I've never been able to get into Jackie Brown.
Jack. That's funny. Okay, so I have a unique history with Jackie Brown. I thought Jackie Brown was one of his weaker movies in the beginning, but then as I kind of started, because I went from Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, and Jackie Brown, like, and that was my introduction to something like, this doesn't seem like the previous two, and
Yeah,
and
I felt just the opposite. I felt like because I'd seen Reservoir Dogs in the like when it came out, and I saw Pulp Fiction when it came out, and then I saw From Dusk Till Dawn because
okay,
that was written by him,
right,
and Four Rooms. I've never seen Four Rooms. That's a weird movie, but it's a fun movie. He wrote one of the stories in it, wrote and directed one of the stories in it. And then you come to Jackie Brown, and it's like, you get to Jackie Brown, you're like, Okay, it seemed like he was really trying really hard to to get that same feeling as Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction had, you know, and it just didn't work.
Uh,
Oh, Professor, man,
yeah, thanks
it.
for coming by, buddy.
We'll roll back. We'll get back to the Soledad, film. We'll talk about the rating at the end. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, it was like that's usually how we do on these. We always we find a unique way to bring it right back around.
Yeah. But yeah, so I just felt he tried too hard with that one. That one, to me, I agree. I think it's the weakest, but I think he tried too hard to make that magic happen again. Unlike with Kill Bill, he just kind of like it's like, hey, I got this movie that's going to be like 9 hours long. Okay, we're gonna have to cut it down to 4 hours. Okay, we're gonna have to cut it down to two movies.
Mhm. But
So yeah, that's the only one I don't really care for.
people like the thing is like I even disagree with him, like Quentin Tarantino himself, like how he says Death Proof is the weakest movie. I'm like, no, like Death Proof.
Well, it's not his weakest movie, but in all fairness, when they came with Grindhouse, it was supposed to be two horror films. I never felt that Death Proof was really a horror movie,
Right.
but I
Yeah.
like it. But I
It,
like it. It pays a lot of homage to a lot of the movies I watched growing up, like Gone in 60 Seconds and Vanishing Point and stuff like that. So
I see. That's why I like out of the two movies, Planet Terror and Death Proof. Death Proof is the better movie, I think, because I like Vanishing Point and the original Gone in 60 Seconds and everything. Because
okay,
I love car movies. Like
yeah.
I like you wouldn't know it by my collection, but I do have those rare movies in there. It's like you'll see like I've gone in 60 seconds and they pull it out. It's like this ain't the Nicolas Cage one. I'm like, but it's the better
No,
one.
this is the H.B. Halicki film, dude. This is the 1973 movie where he steals a 1973 Mustang and does a 40-minute chase through downtown L.A. You know,
Right. Um, or even Vanishing Point. What I liked about Vanishing Point was that I liked the music in that movie because like the person playing the music on the radio, and I'm like that's
Cleavon Little, yeah.
yeah, I'm like I love that, and I like the ending. It's like the ending, just like to
You know
that
what the
movie, is
funny
just
thing about Vanishing Point is? I I, I can give you a synopsis of Vanishing Point in just like one sentence. A bet made.
say that again.
A bet made.
Oh yeah,
That's basically that's the whole because he's in Denver, Colorado, and Barry Barry Sullivan's in Denver, Colorado, and he's got some he needs some uppers to get back to get back to LA, and the guy's like, okay, well, you know what, um, you make this bet, you make this run from here to here in this much time or less, and you won't have to pay me anything, and he's like, okay, and that's it, a bet made. And if have you seen the British version of that movie?
no,
Because the British version of that movie, he pulls over and picks up a hooker, and she's
I didn't
topless
know
in the
that.
yeah.
That's cool.
I have a movie and it's a flipper disc. It's
Okay,
on DVD. It's a flipper disc, and on one side it's the American film, and on the other side it's a British film. And that's the
okay.
only time I'm like, wow, okay, I'm good with a
Wait,
flipper disc.
what's the case look like?
Um, it just shows. I don't know. It's down in my room.
No, you're good. Like I'm gonna have to check mine because I that sounds so familiar now. I think I may have been
If
like,
you get a disc,
one.
more than yeah, if you got the flipper disc, it's more than likely you have the British version.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check this out now. I'm curious. But yeah, Professor. Yeah, like I don't like them bashing on that. Always bothered me. Like if you didn't like it, it's like, hey, it's like, yeah, it didn't turn out like we wanted, but it's still a movie. You know, some people will like it, but like it just something about it just didn't quite catch what I thought was going
Well,
to happen.
in all fairness, some actors wind up doing movies just because uh, they were, it's like, oh well, I was asked.
Yeah,
They really didn't seek out to be in that movie, and someone's like, hey, well, we need someone for this role in this movie. It's like, hey, you want to do this? I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. And then that's when you hear that when they're talking about doing, like, I really didn't audition for this. They're not bashing it, but they are. They're like, I was just in this movie, just to be in it. And
yeah.
I
Like
don't know.
I think no, no. Like I think that's my biggest like. So we both know that I'm like Kevin Smith is my has the honor of being my favorite the director of my favorite movie of all time.
Dude, I didn't know this. Since when?
Oh yeah, right. It's so new. And I mean, yeah, I've not only met the man, seen him 4 times live. Drove 2 days to New Jersey. It's just like, and yeah, so it's news to everybody.
That news
But
to
I
me. Kevin's never. You're
think
talking
that's
about the guy that played Ares. The guy that played Ares in Xena is
yeah,
a
and Xena, yeah,
director.
that guy. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of that guy. But I think that's my only complaint about like there's some other complaints, but like the major thing is like how he kind of like talks badly about some of his movies, or like he just thinks they're like I'm the guy who directed Jersey Girl. I'm like, or the guy who directed like the one I'm bringing up is the one I was talking about the most, is the one he's like Cop Out. I'm like I know he had a bad experience watching or making Cop Out and everything, but like there are some good moments in that movie.
There might
It's
be good moments, but I think it's just, I think that what you said is that the making of it left a bad taste. He just,
mm,
I think when it comes down to it, if he gives any praise to that movie, then he's got to give praise to Bruce Willis, and he doesn't want to do that at all.
right.
From what
I
I
know
understand, they didn't get along at all.
like yeah, and I know that they've kind of made amends a little bit. I'm not to what extent, but I'm sure like with Bruce Willis's recent health going on, I think they've kind of made amends with everything, or at least like understood like hey, it just things happen. At least that it's just like but yeah,
I
it's
never,
like
you know what? I never saw Cop Out, and the reason I never saw Cop Out is because Tracy Morgan's in it, and I can't stand Tracy Morgan.
so that was kind of like my dad's kind of analysis of the movie, because me and my dad are big Bruce Willis fans through and through. We love Die Hard. We'll watch about it.
Right.
Like we just Bruce Willis and who else? Because we like Armageddon and like we just like we Bruce Willis is like
Bruce,
if he had
yeah,
pick
I'm the same way. It's like Bruce Willis, Harrison Ford, Denzel Washington. These three guys don't make bad movies.
right, it's like even Hudson Hawk, and like I liked Hudson Hawk,
Hudson Hawk was a really weird movie. I remember when it came out, and I remember going, "Damn, that's just bizarre." And all of a sudden, a few years later, I watch it again. I'm like, okay, I kind of get it now. It takes a while for a flavor to sink in.
Yeah, but like I liked Hudson Hawk. What's that movie with Sarah Jessica Parker?
Oh, Color of Night.
Yeah, is that it?
Is that
Where they're
the
like,
the one? Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I can't stand her, but
see,
yeah,
like movie I enjoyed because I liked Bruce Willis enough to be like, oh, I can like Sarah Jessica Parker. I think the only movie I really truly liked her in is the movie where they're filming a movie in this small town. I can't think of that movie, and she's casted or Ed Wood, like one of those two, like that, where she's like playing a character, like not she's like not really like the lead, but she has some like, or she's kind of like good side
yeah,
character. I think that's
yeah.
what she. But
I
yeah,
never. I know a lot of people love her, but God, I just never could. I always thought that she came up with kind of like an ego, you know.
I think she does. I
I
think she has a little bit. But I don't think she deserves all the fun being made fun of her for her looks and everything. It's just like I know,
did you
like,
did you see the South Park episode where they
yeah,
reference her?
yeah, like um, I'm like she must have a really good some thick skin, like because that's rough. But I'm just like I think she does have some moments of where she is really good acting. Like I liked her in Ed Wood, and I liked her in that I can't think of that movie. It's I cannot
It's
recall that movie, but
it's the
it's
one where he's a cop and she's a cop also, but she's a cop on the um she's a cop on a boat.
yeah, that's it.
She's a patrol up on a boat. Yeah, I know what it is. I want to say it's not Color and Night, because I think Color and Night's the one that he does with Demi Moore.
Uh, It's
Um, I know the movie. I have the
yeah.
movie.
So okay, yeah, like I even like that movie. I know that one gets a little flack too, but it's just but yeah, it's like Bruce Will, like who Denzel Washington, like he like what was it like the Magnificent Seven, like that movie shouldn't have been remade, but like I like Denzel Washington enough to like I like that movie because he's in it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm 100% with you because you done and like the Megalodon shouldn't have been remade, but damn, they did a good job.
They
I'll
did,
admit it. You know,
they did.
that
Like I,
movie
I like.
was really good.
I think it only had. I think it would have been okay if they had a different title, but it, but it was just like because the whole what Seven Samurai has always been it's always been redone in different ways. So like you don't need the Magnificent Seven.
Yeah,
They're just doing it just to kind of for brand only. But like I liked everybody. Like seeing Ethan Hawke in that movie. Like I'm not really big on him, but
dude.
like he does.
Ethan Hawke is one of my favorite actors.
Oh really?
That guy, the thing I the thing I love about him is like okay, he shows up in something like The Magnificent Seven, right? A big
Mm-hmm.
movie. But then 90% of the time he does these smaller movies that no one, and you discover them and you're like, God, he is so good. Have you seen The Black Phone?
Not yet. It's still.
Oh, dude.
Did we just figure out our movie
He
that we're
is,
going to be watching next time?
if you want, he is so creepy in that movie.
I've been meaning to sit down and watch it. Like I started it. I didn't get very far. I don't even think I didn't even think he showed up in the movie yet. That's how little I got into it.
Oh, dude.
It not in terms of like enjoyment or anything. It's just like I did something else. I went and did something
Oh,
else.
but
Um,
he this trilogy with um Julia Binoche, the
oh,
Before series,
right.
Before
Like before
Sunrise, Before Sunset, Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, Before something else,
the midnight.
Before I don't know, Before Midnight. Yeah, that might have been it.
Yeah.
And I had not seen the first two in like a long time, and they just released the third one. They just did the third one like some years ago, and so I was like, oh, well, they finally showed all three of them on cable not too long ago, and I was like, oh, I have to record them all and watch them back to back to back, you know. And I love the first movie. I love the second movie. The third movie is pretentious,
Oh, really?
and it's I mean, at that point, Ethan Hawke is just kind of like playing. He's playing this, and he's the same character. He's the same character. He's just kind of like playing a douche of the character. And it's
Okay.
like, oh my god, you know. I'll stick with the first two movies. I really don't care to see what happens to him.
Yeah. Like I
But yeah,
also thought.
so you're not an Ethan Hawke fan, huh?
No. I'm not a fan. I don't think I've seen enough movies with him to make it a pure assess, a pure good judgment on.
Oh,
I liked him in Training Day. I
Reality
liked it.
Bites is good.
What? Which one?
Reality Bites.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that movie. Trying to think
Everyone
what.
does.
Trying to think what else do I like. I just don't think I've seen enough of his filmography to really kind of make a good assessment on if I liked him or not. But like
Fair enough.
there's movies where he's in that I've seen that I have liked him in. It's just like he's just a tweener right now. He's like he's not bad, but he's not good. But like there could be one performance where it really makes like it could be like, oh, I'm like really into this actor now just because of that particular performance, which has happened more times than I can count. But it's just like, oh, okay. I don't think I've seen that one. I don't think I've seen Predestination.
I have seen Predestination. It was pretty good.
Who's in that?
It's a really weird time travel movie.
Okay. So yeah,
It's one of those movies that you go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that was one of those movies that you could find at the dollar store at one time.
Okay. I got you. Trying to think. Yeah, it's just. Well, we have to get. I have to get ready for work here in a little bit. So we don't
We'll
quite
circle around.
Yeah, circle around. So at the beginning of the stream that we talked about this, and she killed
this. She killed it. Ecstasy.
Ecstasy, yeah.
So
and
X. So here you go. Just to break it down phonetically, right?
yeah,
the letter X, like DX.
yeah.
X. Ta. C.
Ecstasy. Yeah, there you go.
There you go. That's the word.
See, I'm learning something every day. So like, I think I asked you that we had like a failed start to this, and then we started again. Because like, if you're still with us, I appreciate it because we had some technical difficulties today for some reason. But I'm glad it's all worked out now. How'd you find this movie out in the first place? Like, how did you come across this? Like, we know how I came across it.
Oh yeah, you came across it because of me.
Yeah.
I came across this because I'm kind of like a shaky Jess Franco fan.
Okay.
Because he does a lot, like I said before, he does a more Euro sleaze than. I mean, he does do some stuff that's horror, but a lot of it is more Euro sleaze, and so you're just kind of like at the point where I want to watch stuff, and I wouldn't mind watching stuff with friends, but I don't want to have that be something that's going to totally embarrass everybody that they're sitting going, oh my god.
I gotcha.
You just want to watch porn. It's not that. It's not that, but it's damn close.
Right.
But when I first started my YouTube channel, Midnight Crawler was big into the Euro stuff, and Jess Franco was a big thing of his, and he recommended She Killed an Ecstasy. I remember seeing when I was a kid, but I forgot that I'd even seen this until I picked it up.
I've had that happen. Because what was I at? I was at Best Buy, and I was picking up on a new movie, and it was just like Dragon Slayer, and I'm like, I think I've seen this movie. And then I was looking at the back of the box, and I'm like, oh, Peter Nichols in this movie. I'm like, oh, this is the movie with the really cool looking dragon and everything, and I'm like, oh, and I just forgot I had totally seen that movie just because I haven't seen it in so long, and I'm like, oh, and I started watching it the other day, and I'm like, oh man, I forgot how good this movie is.
Ain't that the truth?
And it's like, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, I remember this being like one of my favorite, like kind of like I will. I don't know if you're going to be friends with me after this, but like I really like Excalibur, but never really struck a chord with me. You know that movie.
I liked
Uh,
Excalibur.
you do?
Yeah.
Oh, oh well. My dad loves it. I'm like,
No,
or at least
that's fine. The last time I saw Excalibur it's probably been about 20 years.
oh really?
So I like Excalibur. I don't own a copy of it, but I remember when it came on cable for the first time, and I was just kind of like,
Mm.
whoa. I mean, that was one of those mind blowing ones at the time, and I haven't seen it since. So who knows? I might not like it now. That's what happened with 2001. With 2001, I loved 2001 as a kid. 2001: A Space Odyssey, awesome movie. Anytime it's on, I'm watching it. Tried watching it about 5 years ago for the first time in like forever, and I'm like, okay, this movie's crap. I don't understand why I love Stanley Kubrick films. This might make me sound bad, but I miss nudity in movies. You rarely see it nowadays. And sure, sometimes back in the day it was exploitive, but it was great seeing a nice big pair on screen. I agree.
Well, to kind of bring it back to this, like the nudity in this makes sense, and it like people can, a lot of people argue like she didn't need to be naked, or she could have been like just scantily clad or whatever. But it's like we went to great lengths talking already. It's like she had to lure these people in and to make them vulnerable enough to where they could drop their guard down, and if they see a naked woman, she's kind of like, oh, there's like she's not hiding anything, it's and,
The problem with movies nowadays is the fact that the studios, the people that run the studios nowadays they're all accountants. They're not movie makers. They don't really give a crap. I mean, Jack Warner from the Warner Brothers lot and his brothers, they were all filmmakers, and so when these companies are now run by, accountants, they're like, well, you know what, we can do this movie, but let's make it PG-13. That way we can get the younger people in. We don't have to worry.
mm-hmm.
But what's the fun in that? When I
So
was seeing naked women in movies when I was like 11 in the theater, because at the time the PG rating was parental guidance.
mm-hmm.
Your
Like
parents chose to take you to that or not.
so like what's that movie with Michael J. Fox? Is it Doc Hollywood?
Which one? They're
Where he's a small town, he's a doctor, goes to the small town.
Yeah, Doc Hollywood.
Yeah, and then I was like, when he's kind of like flirting or kind of being like enamored by what's her name? I can't think of her name, but by that actress in the movie, and she comes out of the water topless. I'm just like, I immediately went and asked I'm like, what's this movie rated? I'm like, it automatically automatically seemed like the nudity doesn't mean automatic R back then. It was just like you said.
No, it doesn't. Steven Spielberg is the blame for PG-13. And Steven Spielberg, he's the one that he was on a crusade to make sure that kids that saw Temple of Doom, knew that they were old enough to see Temple of Doom. And so he's like, I want to create a rating, PG-13, So I blame PG-13 on Spielberg. I just saw a movie called Incendiary. And it's a British movie with Ewan McGregor and Michelle Williams.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And she is totally topless in this movie.
Well,
and I was kind of like, whoa, she's Oscar nominated. I was kind of surprised. It kind of threw me aback because I've seen her in a ton of other stuff, and I don't think I've ever seen her do nudity.
She what's that movie about Marilyn Monroe? Oh, Blonde. that's all I could hear about is people talking about the nudity in the movie, like that's what's the big selling point of the movie. And I heard the movie itself wasn't very good, but they were just talking about how just the nudity in the movie and everything, and just like they harped on it so much. It's like if it makes sense for the movie, then and if she feels comfortable doing it, then there should be no problem. You know, it's just like, uh, uh, but it's like
Yeah, I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis goes topless in Trading Places.
right. Oh, did you? Oh man, did you see that? But I've seen a video. She did? It was at a Horror Hound convention. Somebody brought that photo of her topless, and she
Yeah.
immediately she didn't look up at the guy. She's like, "I will not sign this. Keep on going." And like, and it was like, I'm like, that's funny. Like, why would you even bring that? Um, but it was just it was
Hey,
just
I
funny.
mean,
Like,
she made
go ahead.
she, she's always been kind of a twit to me. I know a lot of people love Jamie Lee Curtis, but I mean, she did 5 horror films. She said, I'm not doing any more horror after that. So she started doing all these, comedies and dramas and whatnot. She gets sucked back into the horror genre for Virus and for
I like that
Halloween
movie. That's a very
H2O.
movie.
Yeah, and for Halloween H2O, right?
Yeah.
And and then you're like, oh, okay, well they finally put a cap on the virus thing. And then they bring her character back in the next film, and she's like, okay, somewhere after Halloween Resurrection and Halloween, the new Halloween franchise, she retired from acting.
Hmm.
She goes, that's it. I'm not doing any more movies. Okay, I'm going to retire. Well, that's a big fucking lie. I mean, no, she really, to me, if you want to take a break from, take a break from it. Say, I'm going to take a break from acting.
Right.
I'm going to take a break from making records. The minute you use the word retire, that means that you are gone. You're out of my hair. I don't have to see or hear from you ever again.
Yeah,
Right?
like I never take actors who retire seriously, because like there could always be that one role with the right money. It's like, yep, and it's like,
Yeah, yeah. But all she's done since she's come back is she's done like 3 Halloween films and Everything Everywhere All at Once, which sucked.
I think we talked about it in the last stream. I think right because the Oscars had just happened.
You
Um,
know.
I'm trying to, yeah. Um, so yes, I
What would
definitely.
you give this rating? I'm going to ask you first. What would you give this rating?
Oh, okay. So I'm going. Okay, I was going to make this point, and we got a little bit of time, so we got about 5 more minutes. So hopefully, I can make it. We talked about Thriller, A Cruel Picture,
Right.
and that movie is a revenge movie too, where the main protagonist is a woman who has suffered
Trauma.
trauma, and I'm just like I was like sitting there thinking, it's just like which movie did I like more, and like we both I think we both agreed that um was a classic. I do believe. I think that's what we did because
Yeah.
like, and I'm like, but I'm like after watching this. I'm just like I like this one more, and I found this one to be the better movie.
Right.
And just
Yeah.
because and like I'm going to give it okay, I'm going to give it a 5 because it is a classic, because it's done well. Like it's definitely not, I wouldn't watch this with a group of friends because of the nudity and stuff like that. This is a good, like how I told you how I watched it. I just got me some good food, I get me some good drinks, and I just sat there in the dark watching this really vibrant, colorful movie, and it was like, oh, this is perfect. This is how this movie should be watched. unless you're watching it with other friends who enjoy this kind of movies. And I was like,
Right.
okay, so I got that, and so it's definitely not a one because it's not, it's not run of the mill. Far from it, because it's because of the time period it came out, and like the subject matter. It's like revenge films are nothing new, but it's like it's in the manner of how it's done. That's what makes Cruel
Very
Picture
good. Yeah.
stand out. What makes this moon stand out is because of like how we talked about how she lures everyone. It's not the kill itself. It's them. It's the it's
It's the
the
buildup.
yeah. It's the setup. And so I'm like, yeah. It's like this is a 5 to me. It's not more than average. It's definitely more than average because it's just and the reason why I like this over Cruel Picture is because the person in the what's her name, Soledad, is she can act,
Yeah.
and I like I know I may not understand like bad acting in like a foreign language and all, but it's like but I have a good ear for like for things sounding right. You know what that means? Like you can hear a bad song in a foreign language and it's like, oh, that just doesn't sound right. It just doesn't sound good. But like you can. But I do like listening to music in foreign languages. And it's like, oh, I can like this. Actually, does sound pretty good. And just the way she kind of talks and like, especially during that her like just that final sequence of the movie we talked about,
Right.
like her like
Right.
we're finally going to be reunited in death and everything. It's like, oh, perfect. So yeah, I think this is definitely a 5 for me. It's like it was a like, and I'm going to give it a 5 from you. To you for giving me this recommendation because I would never have watched this movie if it wasn't for the what we talked about last time. Or like, hey, you should check this out. So
Yeah. So I'm gonna give this a 5, and I'm gonna actually knock Thriller down to a 4.
I thought about doing that. I really did. I thought about making it.
And the reason I'm gonna do that is because as much as I love Thriller, and I do, I mean, I think Thriller's got a good story and all that.
Yeah.
I think this is a better weaved story.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I mean, don't get me wrong. In Thriller, she and Thriller are a cruel picture, whatever you want to call it. Um, she does. I mean, Christina Ligberg does have her strength, and
Right.
I do love the fact that she's teaching herself to use all these weapons to get, and all this, and learn
Right.
to drive cars, you know, to get her revenge. But in this one, you don't have that, and she's not really she doesn't really need the abilities that Christenberg took on. She
Mm-hmm.
just needs what we called earlier her feminine wiles, and
Mm-hmm.
she does it so well. And so yeah, this is definitely a 5. That drops Thriller down to a 4.
I'm
Um,
gonna have to like I think that's what I want to do as well because a 4 on our scale is it's helps move the genre forward. I think
it
that's
does,
what
and it does. It
it
does.
helps move the
Yeah.
revenge genre where the female is the lead forward. What I've never
Did you
heard of that
guys
movie.
talk about Miss 45? Yeah, that I'd love to hear. Um, I have a copy of that. It was put out by Alamo Draft House. So yeah, it's available. You
Okay.
know, on
Um.
Blu-ray. It's it's another revenge film, and
Oh.
if you want us, I mean, we could just
Yeah.
write revenge films.
Okay. I think we've okay. If um, let me see how accessible that is for me on my end since you already own a copy, and that may be what we talk about next time. We have a couple.
Go to Amazon. Just go there and see if they have it available. And but yeah, Miss 45 is a cool movie.
Okay.
The other one, I mean, if you can find a copy of Revenge, like I said, it's a 2000s film it's actually called Revenge.
Okay.
That'd be another one to check out. And Vampire Lesbian.
Yeah. It sounds like we have a. I'll see. I think we got a few good selections to kind of talk about for next time.
I like what the professor said. He said, "You guys piqued my interest in this one, so it shall go. So it shall get added to the eternal wish list." Dude, I have 10 wish lists. I have like the horror wish list. I have the Aero Vestron wish list.
Yeah.
I have the mainstream wish list. I mean, a lot of them are just broken up into like the labels, because at one point I had like one wish list and it took me like half an hour to scroll through the whole damn thing.
So yeah, I guess it's time to go feed my kid. So it's so we were both in agreement that this movie is a 5, and then we've dropped
5. Yeah,
we both dropped Thriller, A Cruel Picture, to a 4 because it help move the genre forward. And because I think, like, after really dissecting this and Cruel Picture, because we did a couple of revenge movies in a row, so it's like it's good to kind of like it's good to see kind of some comparisons. Like, oh, maybe this movie, like, I think what also drops Cruel Picture is like the hardcore scene, the hardcore sex scenes were not needed. It's just like
yeah, but that was the Euro cut. We both made that mistake. I mean, the American cut's not like that. So
and where the nudity in this one, there's no graphic nudity in terms of that, but it's like there is a lot of nudity in this. But like we've talked. Sorry about that. That we've talked about is that it was needed, but
yeah,
it's but yeah, but yes. So hopefully I will check into Miss 45 Revenge. I think we have one other one.
It's MS period 45.
Yeah. So I'll try to look into those movies for next time. So yes, I have to go. Gotta go on my end. I got to feed and get ready myself for work. So thank you for Professor for joining us today. Thank you for
and Professor. If you know anyone that wants to listen to this, whenever we come up, tell them about us.
Yeah, like we try to do it either Sundays or Tuesdays, though whatever works best for our schedules. It's mainly been on Tuesdays, but yeah. Thank you everybody for joining us, and thank you Professor for this, and thank you Wolfman for talking about this movie and the recommendation. I'll probably end up watching this again pretty soon, just so I can maybe catch a few things I might have missed, like
you're going to be looking for Jess Franco now.
Yeah. So thank you all, and my name is the one and only MSJ, Max for short, and I'm going to go geek out. Oh, and you want to plug yours real quick?
I'm the 13th Wolfman. You can catch me on YouTube, the 13th Wolfman, Twitter at the 13th Wolfman, Tumblr 13th Wolfman, the Prowl. And much like Max, where he's going to go geek out, I'm going to be on the Prowl.
Yeah. So, see you guys.
Bye.
See you. And